All right. Okay. Well, good morning, everybody, and thank you all for being here. It is the 7th of November, and this is a joint meeting, a public meeting and executive session meeting of the Elliott State Research Forest Board of Directors. And what we're here to talk about today is a couple things related to the hiring and the related process for the Elliott State Research Forest Manager position. And so this is it's not intended as a long meeting. It's not a replacement for the meeting that we have scheduled on I can't remember. Is it the 9th of December or the 10th? I can't remember which one. Yeah. Um, but we need to do this meeting and have this conversation in order to enable future conversations related to the hiring process. So all that will become a bit more clear and through this meeting. And I guess thank you in advance for making time. And Vicky, what I was thinking we could do at first here is we have a quorum, and thank you all for making that happen. We don't have a 9-person board anymore, but we still have a quorum of 5, or a quorum requirement of 5 people to take any action. And given that this is the first time, at least some of you all have met together, and we have some staff here that may not know you all yet either. And as we all come together and get to know each other better, let's just do intros. And Vicky, I was going to turn to you for any high-level kickoff remarks before we do intros. And when we do intros, please tell us something about your connection to the Elliott that you'd like your fellow board members to know, and try to have a little virtual fun with that before we break into executive session.
Okay, great. Thank you, Brett. Good morning, everyone. It's nice to see the faces with the names. Peyton and Mike, I've only seen your pictures and read your bios, and welcome to the board. I'm really saddened that Bob Salinger is no longer with us, so that if you had not met Bob, excuse me, you would have had the opportunity to meet a really wonderful person. I'm hoping you can hear about his contributions to the Elliott during your service to the board. Bob started with us from the beginning. When I asked the advisory committee to only serve a year. So I'm just warning you that your commitment is maybe a little more than you expect, but in the early years, especially because it took us a lot longer to get where we needed to be to start making some progress. So thank you for coming today, and I'll step back and let everyone else introduce themselves.
Yeah, could we go around the horn to let's do, if you don't mind, DSL staff first, and Chris, maybe we can go to you, and then Tricarico and Jimmy, thank you for both being here too. Yeah, let's do that.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Castelli. I'm the Deputy Director of the Land Management Division, and we administer 3 different programs for the people of Oregon in the Land Management Division. We administer the state's common school fund lands, or school lands, and all the mineral rights for the people of Oregon through our real property program, which is out of Bend, Oregon. We manage and administer the state's one and only National Estuary Research Reserve, South Slough, which is down in Coos County there as well. And we administer the newly forged Elliott State Research Forest. So thank you all for joining us and for your participation on the board of directors. It's really great to have you involved in this process. And my connection to the Elliott, I've been at DSL for 20 years. I was the land manager. We had less land managers when I started, so I was the land manager from Lincoln County all the way to the California border and in the Umpqua and Rogue Valleys as well. And I got to spend a lot of time in the Elliott. It was certified to the Board of Forestry when I was the land manager, but we had communication site leases, worked with ODF and W on some restoration projects they did down there. Tamarack Lakes Basin Partnership, Coos Watershed Association did a lot of work on the Millicoma. And great memory I had was going to inspect a communication site lease on Dean Mountain in a snowstorm, which was fun and hopefully somewhat rare. And there's also a huge herd of elk right outside the gate as well. So it's pretty cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, and can we go to Allie and then Jimmy Tricarico?
Sure thing. Good morning, everybody. My name is Allie Ryan Hansen. I'm the Communications Director for the Department of State Lands. The Elliott, this has been a really special journey from the idea of an Elliott State Research Forest to the reality of an Elliott State Research Forest. And I feel like a triumph of people leaning in and working together and staying with us, staying engaged, not only many of you on screen this morning, but also just different communities, different voices, different members of the public. This has been something like you see how much people care about the Elliott and in so many different ways because they show up time and time again, and that makes my heart happy as somebody who I consider myself to be an advocate for community participation in government and firmly believe that it leads to better things for Oregon and beyond. So yay. I'll do my spirit fingers for the Elliott. And I do want to share my favorite public comment that we've ever gotten about the Elliott was actually during some Oregon consensus work that Brett was a part of before he joined the DSL team, when we were talking with a wide variety of stakeholders about perspectives, and we put out a report about just, general, what do people want to see happen for the Elliott, and we put that up for public comment. And we had misspelled barred owl. It's Barred, and we had consistently spelled it Bard. And the comment that we got was, "We must save the barred owls. They write such beautiful sonnets." And that's my favorite Elliott memory.
Right on. Thank you. Jimmy.
Hello, Jimmy Phillips. I'm the HR manager for the department. I've been with DSL for about 3 years, but I got about 15 years of experience in HR in private and public industries.
And Tricarico.
Hi, I'm Tricarico Schwartz. My pronouns are they, them, and theirs. I've only been with DSL since January, but I've got about 8 years of HR experience in private and public as well. So glad to be here and help me out.
Yeah, and thank you for everything. As you all know, we're hiring a variety of positions to build out the initial Elliott program team. So it's exciting times. And Tricarico and Jimmy have been invaluable in that. And the work is steep. So thank you both. Okay, I don't know how we're going to do this, but let's do Linda. You're there, but I don't know if you're actually there. So I'll pause and see.
Yeah, I'm here. So, sorry, let's see. I didn't turn my camera on, but let's see. I apologize. Anyway, hi. Just sit here in the background. That's where I like to be. But yep, I'm the one that bugs you with emails about meeting polls and all that.
Yeah, and keeps the wheels going. So thank you, Linda. Okay, let's go to Matt at DOJ, and then I don't know how we'll do this, but let's start with Mike Kennedy. And Mike, if you can just popcorn or name somebody after you introduce yourself, let's do that. But let's not forget about the attorney in the room first.
Thanks, Brett. I think there's a few attorneys in the room, actually, although some of them might be trying to hide that history. But yes, so thank you. I'm Matt DeVore. I work for the Oregon Department of Justice. I provide general counsel advice to the Department of State Lands and the State Land Board. I've also been tasked with providing general counsel advice to this Elliott State Research Forest Board of Directors, and happy to be a participant in the process. It's been very exciting to see it transform, and look forward to helping shape the future of the forest. We'll get into a little bit more detail about what the relationship is between the board and the Department of Justice. But just in essence, I would say I provide the legal counsel, and attorney-client privilege does apply to conversations that we have where we convey legal advice.
Thank you,
Sorry,
Matt.
then hand it over to Mike Kennedy.
Good morning. Mike Kennedy. I've one of the folks that Vicky suckered into a one-year appointment long ago. It's now what, 6 years, Vicky? But at the time I was the natural resource director.
Almost seven now.
At the time, I was the natural resource director for the Confederated Tribes of Siletz, which I retired from 2 months ago. Good to be here. Good to see everybody. And I'll pass along to Mike Wilson. It's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a few years.
And I wasn't saying, hey, yay, that you retired from the Siletz. I was saying, yay, you've retired. Because for those of you who don't know, I am retiring July 1 of next year. And I haven't had a chance to say how many days that is yet today. So let me say it's 236 days from now. So just so you know, we have a little less than 236 days to tie a bow around the Elliott to a place where I feel like I can go away and call this a legacy project. So we've got a lot of work to do. All right, back to Mike Wilson. Hello, Mike.
Well, Vicky, if Mike Kennedy's any example, I think basically retirement just means you start working on the Elliott full time.
Yeah, I've made it very clear I'm taking 6 months off. I need the mental health break.
And it actually took me 3 tries to retire before I finally got there. So
we're not setting a good example, Mike, though I think the next Mike might be able to tell us how to do it. So let's hear from Mike.
Good morning. Good morning. No, don't look to me to figure out how to do this. or don't ask my wife how well I've done. So Mike Wilson. Happy to be here. First meeting. Happy to be part of this and see some familiar faces and some committed faces here. I worked for the Grand Ronde tribes for about 30 years. Last 15 or so as their natural resources manager. Also a member there of the tribes. Fantastic time working there, working with wonderful people, again, like Mike Kennedy. Retired a couple years ago. And one thing I really enjoyed about it is being able to put my time where I really want to on some projects that I've invested in. You know, as we work in natural resources and things like this, it's we do it for a reason more than the paycheck. So I'm happy to be involved in this, and like I mentioned, I'm involved in several other things. On the board for the Polk Soil and Water and a couple other adventures. So I was part of my career at Grand Ronde. I got involved with the Elliott early on and attended quite a few meetings and saw it through processes. So that was interesting. A little familiar with that part of it. I early in my career, I lived down in Coos Bay, North Bend. Worked early in my forestry career. Worked for Weyerhaeuser, GP, Menasha. So I worked around the Elliott. I don't think I worked on it much because it was state land, but did some recreation out there, and I think I'm familiar from crawling around in a lot of that Coast Range hills and in the rain. But yeah, so I'm happy to be part of it. Happy to add what I can. Don't look to me to figure out how to retire, walk away from things. Not what I'm good at, but yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for being here, Mike.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Peter. Hey, good to see you, Peter. I'll pass it off to you.
Well, good morning, everybody. I'm on top of Chehalem Ridge on a beautiful morning. Great to see everyone. In particular, welcome to Peyton and Mike Wilson for joining the board. You're welcome additions. And I'm a forest person from the North Coast Range. And my connections to the Elliott, I remember I think it was 2009, as a relatively new member of the State Board of Forestry, I thought I shouldn't be making policy decisions about the Elliott if I hadn't been there. So I was driving on my way to go see the Elliott, and ODF staff called me and told me to turn around because there was a protest road barricade. And the last thing they needed was further complications by having a board member accidentally be taken hostage or something like that. And then also another connection that was vivid was lying on the ground in 2020 and camping in the Elliott and having a spotted owl land in the tree right above and call in the middle of the night when I thought I'd never hear a spotted owl in the Elliott. And then the next day, the temperature in Portland was headed to 116, so fleeing to the coast and lying down on the cool sand to avoid it. My connections are not deep, but they're vivid. And how about if we go to Peyton, please?
Good morning, everyone. It's very nice to meet you all, even if it's virtually. My name is Peyton Smith. I was born and raised here in Coos Bay. I work for Southport Forest Products as our Director of Communications and Government Affairs. My connection to the Elliott, I spent a lot of time up there growing up. My family had a place on the West Fork when I was a kid. So my cousins and I would spend all summer running wild in the forest and exploring every nook and cranny of it. So it has a very special place in my heart, and I'm happy and honored to be a part of this group.
It's really
Thanks,
great to
Peyton.
hear, Peyton.
You want to pass the baton?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I will pass it to Haley.
Well, that's great to hear. And she's another local as well. And I'm a Reedsport High School grad. So
I love to hear it.
Oh, there are stories.
Good morning. My name is Haley Lutz, and I was born in Coos Bay and have been back for 7 years in my position as executive director for the Coos Watershed Association. We work collaboratively with our community to improve watershed health all throughout the basin, with an emphasis on coho salmon recovery. The Elliott is a critical place in our watershed. We've invested over $10 million in restoration research and monitoring, alongside the public land managers as well as private timber operators. And so we are excited to see the Elliott moving forward and to be able to get back on forest to continue to work with all the parties to improve watershed health up there in a manner that's compatible with our economy and our community and social and cultural and recreation values. And so, yeah, really excited to be here, and certainly missing Bob this morning and feeling really grateful that I got to sit next to him and provide comment and be there together as the forest management plan got recently approved.
Let's see. I think there's only one left. Yeah.
Did Melissa pop up?
Oh, where'd she go?
Don't see her.
I don't see her either. I'll shoot her a text. Okay. Well, thank you all. And I think before we break and move into executive session, there is some stuff that we're working on at DSL, knowing that this is still a relatively new board with 3 new members. And so we're working on how to schedule out meetings. The next one will be virtual, which is not ideal for, rapport and relationship building. But beyond that, in the new year, we're looking at how do we do something where we can get together in person and then build a relationship and spend some focused time together. So between Vicky and Chris and myself and others, we'll circle back on that. And there's also some upcoming. That part will hopefully be the fun part. The other part is it is interesting. So it's not unfun, but there are some trainings that we'll need board members to do tied to the Oregon Government Ethics Commission. And that's trainings around a variety of relevant subjects to being on a state board. So look for information to come on that.
In fact, there's a training coming up that we need to get out to them ASAP on public meetings law. It just landed in my inbox this week. So, and I think I sent that out to you, Chris, and Brett. So if you could forward that on to the board. And can people try to delete Bob's name from your email list? He's popped up a couple times. It's a stake in the heart for me, but also we just don't want to put email into something where someone's not there to receive it anymore. And it's hard when you call up your old emails and he's in the list. And he's in there in a couple of different email addresses. So
I'll
watch for that.
I think that was on me last time. I don't know if it's subconsciously or what, but just have been able to pull Bob off.
It's okay. I just want to remind people to do that.
Yeah.
Because some of these things might be attorney-client privilege, and then they're going into an email box that we don't know how it's being monitored.
Sure. Yeah, good point. Yeah, and Vicki, Chris, any other, before we go into executive session, any other high-level updates, subjects, things you want to say?
Well, we're going to talk about recruit the manager position for the Elliott State Research Forest in the exec session, or the hiring practices a little bit today. But we are just diligently, thanks to Tricarico, Jimmy, and others, trying to build that team. And I got to go to Shutter Creek Friday, and that was exciting. We're also getting a contract with OTAC, I believe, for to develop a redevelopment plan for Shutter Creek. We have 2 full-time staff down there. They were very excited to show off Shutter Creek, but also they're very excited to get some more people down there. So it's lonely, I think, when it's just the 2 of them. So I think the possibilities of Shutter Creek are exciting. So yeah, just excited to tour there and also see what comes of that as we build the research forest team.
And Chris mentioned to me the other day that he thinks that there's, excuse me, I'm starting to get all this virus stuff again. But I'm going down to visit the toddler grandchildren for 2 weeks. I'm just getting ready for it. But he indicated there might be someone that is going to take that razor wire off our hands that surrounds the barracks, so to speak, where they house prisoners. So that'll help make it a lot more inviting of a location.
Yeah, we're working with, we have a project manager who's not on the line there, named Sharon, and she's been amazing as well, working with our team at Shutter Creek. And yes, I think getting the razor wire removed from the dorms would make it more aesthetically pleasing as well as it transitions its use and function, that facility. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you to you both. And we will be having, we haven't kicked it off yet, and we're working on the contracting end, but we will be having a public facing and public engaged redevelopment process, kind of planning, vision and planning conversation around Shutter Creek. So yeah, the work never ends, and Shutter Creek is a fascinating opportunity. And as it becomes a place that is intended to be focused on housing Elliott staff and partners, we're doing all we can to, make it look more like that and less like a prison. So thanks, Chris, for bringing that up. And I think at this point, is there anything more, Vicki, Chris, at a high level?
No, I think we need to move on so people can get on with their day.
Yeah. Okay, so the Elliott State Research Forest Board will now move into a different virtual conference room to meet an executive session pursuant to ORS 192-660-2 F for the purpose of considering information that is exempt by law from public inspection. And the board will not be making any decisions in executive session. After executive session, the board will reconvene, and we'll be back here in approximately, I would say 30 to 45 minutes, hopefully. We would reconvene in public session to discuss and adopt regular hiring procedures for the Elliott State Research Forest Manager position. Okay, I think with that, let's,
Yeah, that means
Linda,
Linda
if you
turns
could
off
stop
the
the
recording.
recording now, Linda.
No, I think we're
Okay,
good.
gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay, so the Elliott State Research Forest Board of Directors has completed its executive session and is now reconvening in public session. So we're all back in public session. No decisions were made during the executive session. What we're here to do in public session is to discuss and make a determination on a hiring process for the Elliott State Research Forest Manager. And what I'd like to do real quick is share my screen. Oh boy, Zoom. Oh, there it is. Okay. Can anybody not see the document that's highlighted in yellow draft? Okay. So the proposed plan, hiring process plan for the research forest manager was laid out in the memo, or this draft proposed approach that the board received. It's meant to comply with our obligations and commitments to you all to work as a department, to work with the board on hiring the manager and to get your recommendation on that hire. Quickly, we're doing some initial work right now as the department. This is in the initial pre-work. We're narrowing a candidate pool for the manager hiring process, and our proposed approach is to schedule and conduct the initial round of narrowing candidates now, come up with a round 2 interviews with finalists, and coordinate that and conduct those interviews with the Elliott board present, pursuant to a meeting that we'll discuss in a minute. We would work with you all on developing the interview questions for the finalists. This meeting number 1 is the executive session that we just held today, and it's our understanding that the board does desire to maintain consistency with the public meetings law, and including this process of enabling a future executive session by adopting a hiring process that we're talking about right now. This to be scheduled meeting, and we would work with you all as a board on coordinating calendars to ideally get everybody there, would be scheduled for the purpose of holding an executive session. And I think the question for you all is, in that executive session, would you all want to interview the finalists, where there would be a subset of the board on an interview panel, and then the full board there to observe the interviews, so you all can do that and be there during executive session, and then deliberate in a public session on your recommendation for a manager hire? Or would you prefer to some number of you short of a quorum, so it would have to be less than 5, be part of virtual interviews that are scheduled outside of an executive session, and then use a future executive session to deliberate on finalists? This is a decision point that we have around how to shape meeting 2. Regardless of which decision point you all take, we would meet as a board, or you all would meet as a board in a future public session to deliberate and make your recommendation to the department and our hiring manager on the Elliott State Research Forest Manager, and then the hiring manager at DSL would make that hiring decision sometime after your board recommendation. So I'll stop sharing and look for any questions or direction on this approach and hiring plan process and which path you all might want to take. Does anybody have any feedback on future use of an executive session or just deliberation on candidates versus, or discussion of candidates rather, versus venue to do finalist interviews? See Mike Kennedy's. Mike?
So yeah, I would say that the board should have the full board in an executive session for the interviews of the candidates. And then after that, then we'd make our recommendation in the public session.
Okay. So full board there to observe interviews of finalists and then a subset of the board on the interview panel. Does anybody have any different path?
I need to ask Mike a clarifying question. It would be, I would offer that it would be the full board as to who all is available to attend, because we may not ever have a full board that can be in those interviews. Would that be acceptable?
Yes, yes.
Okay, we'll do our best to make sure, but we can't guarantee it.
Okay. Anybody else from the board? Questions? Different directions?
I like that process. I agree with that.
I
Okay.
do also.
Okay, great. Thanks, Melissa. Mike, does anybody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to do what I said. If you need me to spell it out, then I can. So, but essentially have all the available board in the executive session interviews, and then come out of that executive session and make a recommendation in public session.
I can second
Okay,
that.
thanks.
And
Thanks, Mike. Ryan, we have a
and
second.
there was also a subset that would be doing the scoring, right? Did I understand that correctly?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, Matt, I see Matt getting a little uncomfortable. So let me repeat what I believe the motion to be. So it's adopting the plan as proposed with direction from the board to use an executive session with ideally the full board present, everybody who can make it, to be part of the interviews of finalists for the manager position. A subset of the board would be on the interview panel itself with the rest of the board there to observe. And then the board would come out of that executive session into a public session of the board to deliberate and make a recommendation on to DSL on the manager hire. Did I capture that right, Mike?
Yes.
Okay. Did I hear a second out of Mike Wilson? Okay.
You did.
All right. Well,
Now you need to vote on it.
let's do it. I mean, I guess before we all vote on it.
You have discussion first and then vote.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
I just came from a homeowners meeting this weekend. I had to
Is
wrangle.
there any
people.
discussion on the motion? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 And any opposed? Or any abstentions? Okay, seeing none. Mike and Mike, thank you for the motion and the second. We have a process for the approach to hiring the Elliott State Research Forest Manager, and it's an exciting time. We're building the program and moving into implementation on the Elliott. And holy cow, Keith Timchuk just showed up.
Yeah, this is my second time in. I'm only here for a few minutes. I'm going to have a class full of juniors invade me here in about 10 minutes. So,
Okay.
with apologies, all.
Yeah, we just made some decisions about the hiring process, Keith, and there's some folks that need to get off. So you can stay on and we can learn about educate you about that. But let me say before everyone leaves, you all need to appoint a chair and a vice chair. Because Brett can't keep leading your meetings. You're a real board now. Y'all wanted to be a real board for a long time, and now you are. Unfortunately, you're down a member. You can choose to wait, or you can choose to do so at our meeting in December. We are going to look for an additional board member to replace Bob, which will be hard to do. But we are engaged in that process, not actively. We're still grieving here. So we will be getting to that sometime soon. I just can't tell you when. But if you have any recommendations you'd like to pass along our way for someone to represent that conservation interest, we do want that diversity on the board, and Bob represented the conservation community.
Thanks, Vicki.
Yeah.
And we will post the hiring plan on our website. And then our thought was to come back and at our December meeting, and part of that meeting would be to elect the chair. We also deferred some things at the Winchester Bay meeting around operating protocols. So there's a variety of work or agenda items that are on tap for that December meeting, but those would be two. I see Peter's hands up.
Two quick things. I suggest that it's a priority to choose the chair and vice chair in the December meeting. And secondly, I think if we have input on filling that ninth spot, I assume that we could forward that to Brett. Is that appropriate? But it seems like having input there would be important.
Yeah, you
Vicki, what do you think?
You can send it to Brett or me or Chris. Actually, if you send it to one, send it to all three of us. We're all managing this process.
Great. Okay. I know others need to jump, and we're beyond our time. And to the public attending, thank you for attending. We will post the recording of this meeting, and at our December meeting, hold public comment and look for a fairly full agenda as we move into the next phase of the Elliott State Research Forest with a lot of excitement. Anything else, Vicki? Director Walker?
No, just we can adjourn, and then if you'd like to talk to Keith about what we decided about the process, that'd be great.
Sure.
Because some people had a 10 o'clock meeting, Keith, so we wanted to try to get done.
Okay. Well, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for making time today and on relatively brief notice, and we'll see you in December online.